G'day. The topic I'd like to cover today is racial mind control. It's a bit of a favourite topic of mine because so many people are under that spell. It originally comes from a person by the name of Leon Trotsky, who was basically in Russia in 1917 involved in the Bolshevik Revolution, which was a Jewish-led violent revolution in Russia funded by the Jewish banks in America. And he used racial mind control to confuse the Russian people before he killed them. And he killed thousands. And in fact, the Bolshevik Revolution resulted in the deaths of anywhere between 66 million and 100 million Russians, possibly even more. If you look at Alexander Solzhenitsyn, he's the authority on the issue, and he was a tremendously, good man, a historian for Russia. Anyway, the racial mind control is used by the power elite, the Jewish power elite, to basically trick people into blaming the white cultures for all the problems of the world that are actually funded by the banks. For example, the banks fund all the wars and the revolution, like the Spanish Revolution was run by the Jews, the French Revolution was run by the Jews, the Bolshevik Revolution, of course, which we just mentioned also, and they use the term racist and racism and white supremacist to demonize the white cultures so that the coloured people like blacks and Chinese and Asians, whatever, will spruik that comment at you if you discuss the issue of race. They'll go, "Oh, you're a racist," or "You're a white supremacist," or "You think that you're better than everyone else," and that's just the biggest load of bull. For example, recently on Facebook, someone referred to me as being superior, as in I think that I walk down the street thinking that I'm superior than other people that are not white. That's just total bullshit. Total and utter bullshit. I have never treated a black person or an Asian person with any sort of prejudice. I've always treated them with respect and with kindness and love, and in fact I go out of my way to show kindness to people because we almost have to counter the programming that they have been given. The program that they've given, I'll give an example. When I was policing in Biloela from 1997, no, I went there in 1994 and I left in 2004. So in 1994, we arrived in Biloela and I was a constable of police. And one of the biggest problems that we had was that whenever we dealt with Aboriginal people, they would spruik this, "Oh, you're racist," and it was just nonsense. I would treat them with respect, even when I had to arrest them, of course. And after a while, they realised that I wasn't racist, that I was just simply doing the job that I had to do, and they were committing offences. Sometimes I even saw it with my own eyes how the Aboriginal people, under that racial mind control programming, would then act out or behave badly because of it, because they thought that we were racist, so they behaved badly towards us, and then that resulted in them being arrested. And I've even seen them assault white people because of that perception that they have, false perception, because all this racial mind control is just invented garbage to divide us. And so in the end, the so-called racial mind control, which was supposed to be benefiting blacks, it doesn't do anything to benefit them. They end up in prison because of it, because they do things that they wouldn't otherwise do. So this is where what's happening, and white people that carry this baggage around have got this false guilt that they are somehow responsible for what happened in 1777 or 1780. Oh, sorry, no. When was 1880? You know, when the Aboriginals were supposedly treated badly. Now, I don't know. I wasn't there. Maybe the history books show that. That's maybe true, but it was probably a bit both ways too. But anyway, I wasn't there. It was 200 years ago, and it was in a different place to where I'm living now even. Different people, different place, different time. So how the hell am I responsible for that? But this is what this false Marxist guilt requires white people to carry around. And something that they weren't responsible for. It is absolutely asinine. So I've got Aboriginal friends and they remain my friends to this day, and I respect them to this day. Doesn't mean that I should pay for what happens to them today or what happened to their forebears 200 years or even 2 years ago. So basically, racial mind control is so stupid, so ridiculous, and the fact that some people believe there are racists around, it's only invented rubbish. You know, there are people that behave badly, and people call them racist, but really their behaviour is just obnoxious behaviour, and usually there is an offence under the present laws to deal with them. We don't have to be calling them racist, and actually that's rude to even use that word, because we don't have the qualifications. We haven't done a psychology degree. We haven't studied psychiatry. We haven't done a consultation with them to determine if they're fatally flawed. So it's actually highly prejudicial to the people you call racists. Highly prejudicial towards them, because you haven't done the due diligence, you haven't got the qualifications, and yet you trot out this word. It's a cheap shot, and it doesn't deserve to be used because it does not assess the person correctly. It condemns. Some people can't handle, don't realise how to get out of that being called a racist. They actually think that there's something bad about them, and they'll even say their parents, for example, "Oh, my father was racist," because they've been given that racial mind control through the media and through schooling to even condemn their own parents. Now, again, your parents, what they went through. My parents, for example, they had friends that were Aboriginal, even served in the army with my dad, and they didn't have all this rubbish about racism and racial mind control. They just got on together. So, if you are still believing that rubbish, shame on you. And if you are honestly confused by it, I feel sorry for you, because that is just so sad that you have to carry that garbage, that baggage around that makes you suspicious of every person, particularly white people. We are very tolerant in Australia. We allow all sorts of people to come to Australia, and it's only when they start to act up that we express the desire to stop more immigration to this country. I'm talking about the Islam issue. So basically, all that the issues of race and Islam, the reason why they're using the racial mind control against Pauline and against Sonia Kruger and Andrew Bolt is because they've got nothing else. The facts bear themselves out. When Islamic immigration gets above 2%, they start to become a problem. For example, if there are more Muslims, they feel more comfortable to do what they normally do in Islamic countries, like Sharia law. But we don't want that here in Australia. And again, they'll call me and they'll call Pauline all these stupid racial mind control terms that just mean nothing. They're just meaningless rubbish that they speak. But there's a change happening in Australia. Thank goodness that Pauline is waking people up. Sonia Kruger, that's one of the reasons why they're so pissed off with her, is because she basically endorsed what Pauline Hanson had been saying, and they didn't want that. They tried to marginalise Pauline Hanson and make it look like she's the only one saying it. But there are millions of Australians worried about this issue. We don't want terrorism in our country. And I know that the multiculturalism has its basis in Marxism, which comes from Jewish power. So basically, this is an issue, and again, here we go again, they'll think, oh, he's anti-Semitic. That's a load of bullshit too. Anti-Semitic is just a way of trying to shut people up, to stop them having a debate. Marxism comes from Karl Marx. Karl Marx was a Jew. And Marxism led to Bolshevism. Bolshevism led to the deaths of up to 100 million Russians. And then they funded the Chinese Marxist revolution. That killed 50 million. And then we've had the Marxist communists in Spain, and that killed thousands of nuns and priests in that country, and the same thing happened in France. This is what Marxism, which comes from Jewish power, is what's giving. That's what the world gets from it. All this revolutionary action. So again, there's no such thing as a racist. There's no such thing as an anti-Semite. We are just telling the truth. And if you can't handle it, then that's just tough, because we are not racist. We are not anti-Semitic. We love everyone. We just don't like what some people do. And that's the Christian response to the way we view the world. We give everyone a fair go and treat people as they come, and don't assume that people are racist, and we just give them a fair go. And that way, it's up to them. The ball's in their court. If you want to come to Australia, do as the Romans do. Don't be forcing your culture down our necks. Thank you.